Hi, I'm Ian and welcome back to Astro Time Traveller. This is the second part of 4 videos that I'm doing to show you how I captured and processed the Rosette Nebula. In part 1 I showed you some of the theory around using the ZWO ASI Air Pro, and in this second part I'm going to show you how I actually used it in capturing the Rosette Nebula over a couple of evenings. This will show you from plate solving to how you focus with a star, to how you get onto the image, and how to use guiding and then capturing the image. So hopefully you'll enjoy aspects of this that will show you how to use the Air Pro. And then in the final 2 videos I will show you how I process that image with Pixinsight, Deep Sky Stacker and Photoshop. So sit back, relax and enjoy how I use the ASI Air Pro in this second part of the 4-part series. So here's my workflow, and I'll run through each of these in detail through the rest of this video, but it shows you how I do my setup, my polar alignment, how I go back to home page, then I do my focusing on my telescope, then I move to my target and then I set up guiding and then start imaging. So with the rest of this video I'll show you how I do all of those. So I'm not going to go through each of these in detail. You can freeze the frame here if you want to read it, and I'll have them all in the link below, so the detail will be there if you want to read quietly. But in general, the first 2 steps are setting up, making sure the ASI Pro is connected to all the devices, the cameras and the mount, and then just making sure I take images and getting effectively into some sort of focus so it can plate solve, and then I can move on to the polar alignment element, which is very straightforward once you go through that routine, starting off by moving the telescope 60 degrees after it's plate solved, and then moving the azimuth bolts or the horizontal elevation bolts to get to be polar aligned. It takes a little while to get to very low polar alignment, which you need to do if you've got a very high focal length. It needs to be less accurate if it's a broader, smaller focal length. So my EVA Star 72 ED I found I can use probably somewhere below 30 arc seconds, whereas if I'm using my Celestron bigger camera, my 900, 1000 focal length, I probably need to be nearer to 10 seconds of error. But once you've done all that, you can then move on to focusing the camera or going to the home position, and I'll go through those steps in a minute as well. So here we are in the live position. Here's my telescope set up with the EVA Star 72 ED and the ZWO 60mm guide scope, the 120mm Mini and the 294 MC Pro, and all importantly there's the ASI Air Pro connected through to the Skywatcher EQ6R Pro mount. So we're all ready for imaging, so that's how I set up. And then if we go into how I do that, so this is the home screen and I'm just taking a 5-second exposure to get the stars as in focus as possible. So they were slightly out of focus. You can see at the bottom right, the loading comes up and we eventually see loading, and there we are, the stars are a bit sharper. So I can plate solve, it plate solved in less than 5 seconds. So it now knows where it is. So I'm now ready to move on and start doing polar alignment. So the way I do that is go into the PA icon and it comes up, I'm all prepared, I've got my scope attached, so I press go, it does a 2-second exposure. It'll then load that exposure or plate solve it, it'll work out where it is, and it says next down the bottom. You click on next and it starts moving the camera, the RA axis, about 60 degrees. This takes a few seconds, but the telescope will slew round approximately 60 degrees, and when it gets there it will then do another 2-second exposure, plate solve that, and then it's ready to start the polar alignment final process. So here we are, we've now moved those 60 odd degrees, it's taking an exposure, it's going to plate solve it, it's done that, and then it'll come up saying let's go at the bottom. So you click on the let's go and it takes you to showing you your error rate. Press auto on the right hand side and then it will continue taking 2-second loops of the images. And as you can see, although I'm some 38 minutes out, I can quickly start moving that. So I'll move forward a bit fast here to show you that. But you're trying to get it down to as low a number of arc seconds as possible. And so I'm quickly doing that, moving my bolts on the actual mount to get down to the low level seconds errors. So it's already happy with that. I'm at 56. I want to get a little bit better than that, so I'm going to try another couple of times and see if I can get better than that. There I'm at 14, so I'm happy with that. I'll load it a couple of times, take a couple of images to make sure it's settled, and then once I'm happy with that, I kind of accept that. It says fantastic, and now we're pretty much ready to go. So I then go back to home position and get ready for my next part of it. And here you see my next part of workflow is moving to home position. So the camera will slew back to a position close to Polaris alignment, and then I'll go through a process to do focus the telescope. So usually what I do is pick a particular star, probably close to my target, so that when I get the focus it's in the right part of the sky, and then using my batten-off mask I will put that on and get the focus on that star as well as possible. Sometimes I use the focusing icon on the ASI Air Pro, but I find the batten-off mask is really good to do that. And then once I'm in focus on the star, I'm kind of ready therefore to start doing all of my imaging. So here I am selecting my star, Regal, so I go through to Regal on here, highlight it, and then click the Go To button. And once I've done that, the telescope will start slewing round to Regal, and you can see it just moving across. The ASI Pro is controlling that to get it onto that target. It takes a few seconds to go round, but you can see it's almost there. It is pretty quick. And once it gets there, it will start taking 2-second images to confirm it's in position. So it will do a first one to check. There you go. It's shooting, it's loading, it's checking whether or not it's in position. It usually does this a couple of times. And then after it's done it the second time, we're probably in a good place that we will be directly onto the star that we're wanting. So we're almost there. This time it's doing it again. You can see it's faded out on the right, and it's taking the image, and there it is. And there's the star right in the center. So now I'm ready to put on my batten-off mask and take an image. I usually take a 5-second image just to see if I can get in focus. So here we go. You can see down the bottom it's loading. It takes a few seconds to load up. There we go, and there we are. So slightly out. What we can now do is zoom in to get a better view of that. I'm slightly off, so I'm going to move my focuser a little bit to get better, and then take another 5-second exposure to see if we can get closer with the batten-off mask to the right spikes. And again, wait for it to load up. There we go. Oh, I've gone a bit too far the other way, so I will now change it slightly more, going back, take another exposure. So all this can be done pretty quickly, as you can see, and see if we've got a better spike, trying to get that center spike right in the middle of the crosses to be on. So that's pretty close. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's zoom in, maybe a touch to the right. So just a very faint move to the focuser again, and then take another image. See if we can get this a little bit better. Takes a little while, but it's important to get focus as right as possible, because once you've done that, you can probably stay with it, particularly with one-shot color camera, through most of the evening if you're not changing filters or whatever. So again, just taking that image, just see how that looks, slightly adjust one more time, see how that comes through, another exposure, again probably slightly to the left this time, see how that goes. Yep, that looks pretty much dead on. I'm pretty happy with that, but I'll just do one more to be certain, I think. So slight adjustment, press on to take one more picture and see how this goes, and then that should be done for focusing with the batten-off mask. So we'll just wait for the image to load up, and we'll see, here it comes. Yep, that looks good. So happy with that. So now I can take the batten-off mask off, no longer need to use that. So can move on to focusing. So here we go into the focusing menu, and the little green square is in the middle. So it's picked up the star. So you can click on that or pick another star. I've gone down and picked a slightly lesser star than Regal. Then you go into this next screen, having pressed the left-hand button, and that picks up the star, but then starts showing you the star size and the brightness, and you want to try and get the star as low as possible. Now I'm not actually changing the focusing here, I'm just leaving it as it is, but letting it quieten down, and if you leave it for a few seconds it'll vary, it'll go up and down as it's measuring the star obviously through the atmosphere, but I'm getting something in the low 180s, 178, so that's pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with that, and the peak is over 2000, 2200, so both of those are satisfactory, so I'm happy to continue with that. But what you can do if you want is to choose a different star, and you can move around and just try that to see if you get any different results. So the next workflow is the main element is moving on to the target. So I'll select my NGC number for the Rosette Nebula, and then I'll do the go to, and I'll move across to the particular target. The ASI Air Pro will take a short exposure to confirm it's on target, as it did with the earlier plate solving. But I'll take a longer exposure perhaps just to check that I'm happy with that, and then it's moving on to the guiding. So clicking the guiding icon and then moving into the guiding application, and then selecting a star, getting that green square around the star, and then getting it to calibrate and getting guiding working. So let's show you how that works in the real world. So here we are at the main screen. We click onto the go to, and then we select from the queue. I've selected a list of items I've already looked at. So the NGC 2244, which is what I want to do for the Rosette Nebula. So I then click on that. That brings it up onto this screen. If I then highlight it, that will then show it shaded out, and it'll also bring up the go to button down on the bottom right. Click on that, and then the telescope starts to slew to the target. So this takes a few seconds, but it's pretty quick, and as you can see it's already on the target on one part, and it's quickly coming round. It will then start taking plate solving pictures, so it will take a couple of images to confirm to itself that it's in the right place, and then once it's done that it will load the picture, and here that comes. So that looks like the stars that I recognise for the Rosette Nebula, but what I tend to do is take a quick 10-second exposure just to confirm that. So we're just doing that now, and it's uploading to the final few seconds. Picture's now taken, and at the bottom right you can see it starts loading it. So it loads the picture up, and once it's done I can then play around with the histogram to look in a bit closer to see if I can see the nebula of the Rosette Nebula, and I play with this a little bit to bring out the nebula detail if I can. Yeah, I can start to see it there. Just move those a little bit to the right, and then bring in the light a little bit more, and then yep, I can see the nebula's definitely there. So I'm definitely on target, so that's a good place to be. So the next step is to start thinking about guiding, so we'll go to guiding next. So from the home page, click on the graph, and that'll bring you to this page, the guiding page. Then select a star with the square green box, then press the circle, the third one down with the target, and it will start to calibrate. This usually takes about 5 or 6 minutes as it calibrates in 2 steps, so let's wait for it to do that, and then I'll come back and show you as it concludes the calibration. So here we are at the end of calibration. You can see the arrows, the lines, vertical and horizontal, are now both gone green. So we're ready, and we're starting to track. So we're in a good position. So we can go back to the home page and get ready to prepare for imaging. So that takes us to the final workflow, which is around imaging and also reviewing through the night. So with imaging, the key thing is to move to the auto run section and set up what you want to do on imaging, how many seconds you want to take the exposures and how many exposures you want to take. You have options to use on bin levels if you want. I use bin 1. I usually take 3, 4, 5 minute exposures, and the number of exposures depends on the conditions and how many I want to get. Usually at least 3 hours worth of data if I can. So I set all that up, and then once that's done, you go back to the home page and start it running. And then what you can do through the night is to review how progress is going. Particularly, you'll probably want to keep a close eye on guiding and seeing how guiding is going. But you can also review the pictures that and the images that you've taken through the evening, which is quite useful because you can discard some of those as you progress rather than waiting until the end of the evening to do so. So let me take you through that and show you what those screens look like now. So from the home screen, you click on Auto Run, brings you to this screen, and you can click into the reset button and then go into the actual edit sequencer, and you can decide how many seconds you want your exposure. I've got 180 seconds here and 150 exposures of bin 1 and lights, but you can play around with that and change those to anything you like, and you can do a repeat of those if you want to, if you've got different filters, if you're using a filter. But I'm happy with those, so I would click on that and then I'll return back to the home page. And if I'm all ready, I'm looking at guiding's starting to move okay, so I'm ready to go. So I'll then click on the start button and it will start to take my first 3-minute exposure. So we'll let that run, but what I'll do is I'll come back once we're near the end of that and we'll see what the first image looks like for this Rosette Nebula. So here we are with about 26 seconds to go. Guiding's looking pretty good, but I'm happy with that. So we're waiting for the first image to come. It's always exciting to see the first image, to see if what you're hoping is going to come through, and to see if there's no satellites going through the image or there's any disturbance from the guiding, but hopefully not this time. So you just got a few seconds to go. Once it gets to the end, it will load up, and if you look down the bottom right, you can see it says shooting, then it says loading, then it's getting ready to reshoot again, and then you can see loading filling up. So here's the first image coming through, and just press on the auto to get it back to the right sort of histogram, and then you can play around with the histogram along there at the bottom to see if the image comes out strongly enough, and you want to see if the Rosette Nebula is actually in there, which it is. So it's very similar to how I used it on the preview page, just playing around with those arrows to get it as strong. So there it is. So very happy with that. So you can then continue through the night to let the ASI run and continue on. So here's one a bit later that I did, or the earlier I should say, and you can see guiding is pretty good there as well. What you can use is the square beneath the start button for the imaging and go into the image management tool and look at your images. Just keep going down through that to your actual target. Click on that and your images come up. And this is really useful because you can then start looking at the images through the evening. So particularly if you've left the ASI Pro for a little while, you can come back and start to review some of the images and see if there are any satellite trails or if guiding was off on any particular image. And you can delete them there and then if you want, rather than when you go through the image review on your computer the next day. So this is a very useful tool to look through, and you can zoom in if you want to and look at the stars, see how strong they are, see that the corner stars are okay. There you go. So it's quite good to get a good feel for the accuracy of each of the images that you've taken. So I think the ASI Pro is fantastic. The whole polar alignment, the whole process of setting up the imaging, very simple to do. So I'm very happy with it, and I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to do deep sky imaging using this type of tool. So join me in part 3 and 4, where I'll show you how I process this image through Deep Sky Stacker, Pixinsight and Photoshop.